Hi everyone, this is a video tutorial on how to create Anaglyph 3D stereoscopic images. These are images that enable us to perceive depth, either by using Red-cyan glasses, like the one shown in this picture, or by using a two-frame continuously looping animated GIF. This video has three parts. On the first part I will show you a simple explanation on how this technique works. On the second part I will show you how to stage creating the two necessary images on a 3D software package. In this case I'm using Bryce 3D, a very old 3D software program, but you can replicate this in any 3D software you are using. You can also use photography for this, either by using a specific camera or using two different shots. I will explain this further later. And then on the final part, which is the main one for this video, I will show you how to combine these two images in one stereoscopic image on Photoshop. This image shows the basic principle on how we perceive depth. It has the scene I'm using for this example, with the round globe thingies and simple observer. You can see that the observer is focused on the yellow round sphere, so both eyes are focused on this specific item. You can also see that each eye has its own frame of reference and creates two different images depending on the direction between the eye and the object it is focusing. This slight difference, which is increasing depending on how far away an object is from the observer, is interpreted by the brain as the general perception of depth and general geometrical arrangement. That's a trick that we will be using by combining the two images to create a stereoscopic image. So these are the two images, one from the left eye and one from the right eye. If you're using a 3D software, you can create them by yourself. I will show you a very basic explanation how to do this afterwards, but it's self-explanatory. You can see that they're almost the same, but not exactly the same. As in here, this is one image on top of the other, with a slight difference in opacity. You can see that the difference between the two, it appears slightly blurry. The trick that we'll be using for combining the two images is based on the principle on how color and luminosity is shown in a digital image. And there are many ways of doing this, but here we'll be using a combination of red, green and blue, which is the standard for digital images. So as you can see, each image has three channels, each one for its respective color, and the combination of the three creates the final image. We have two eyes, so we need just two pictures, not three. So we'll be grouping green and blue together and red by itself. In order to combine the two images, we will split the image in principle, of course, between the two groups I mentioned before. One for the red channel and the other for the green and blue channel. We can see here that the red one is actually lacking red, as shown here, and the green and blue actually lacks green and blue. The actual trick that enables us to cheat our eyes by showing each one of them a different image by using the actual same image is the Red-cyan glasses. By using a gel for each eye, we are hiding either the red or the green-blue image. So even if there's one image in reality, each eye shows a part of it and interpret it as a different image. This is a simple example. I'm using Bryce for this particular scene. It's an ancient software, but you can use the same process with any 3D software you want, probably better. As you can see, I try to, if the first scene was emulating my right eye, I'm trying to shift the camera a little bit on the left in order to emulate the scene that is visible to the other eye. The distance between the eyes is very small, so just a slight change is enough. The same principle can be applied with photography. You can use a specific camera that simultaneously shots two images, or one camera and shift its place a bit. Just be careful not to have any motion on your frame, because it will show strange afterwards. This is the final step. We will now combine both images to the final stereoscopic image on Photoshop. As you can see here, I have opened both files. Also, I have named them appropriately, and this is something you should be quite careful to do so, either on your 3D software package or your photos. So I have named the left eye image as such on this file and the right eye image here. I will also use the same naming convenience on layers, so I'm putting right here, and I will drag this layer here and name it left. The next step is to center the image, so the main subject of attention will be as possible at the same position. I'm reducing the opacity to the top layer so you can see the difference. As you can see, there's a slight offset here. I'm zooming to do this more accurately. You should manually place the subject as close as possible to the image, one image to the other. You don't care about the rest of the subjects, of the items, because that's the difference that will provide the 3D illusion. One small detail is that as we move the image, I'm restoring the opacity, you can see that there is a gap here, and this gap will create an issue when we copy the full layer, and when we paste it, Photoshop tends to center it, so we don't want that. We want this to keep its place. So what we will do is we'll slightly crop the image. So there's no gap. It's a small detail, but it can actually damage your final result. The next step is to create a new layer, which is, we will name it as stereo. That's the final image. I'm adding a color, but it doesn't really matter. And now we will copy the red channel from the one image and the green and blue from the other. It's important to mark the layers because our glasses, the Red-cyan glasses are always red from the left and cyan on the right, so it actually matters which layer is hidden or chosen from which image. So from the right image we will choose the red channel. I'm going to the channels panel, I'm choosing red, I'm now selecting all, copy. That's why it matters for the full image to be filled, and I'm copying only the visible part of the image, so if the image is moved, whatever is outside our frame doesn't really matter. And I'm going to the stereo layer and place it on the red channel, paste. Next step is to go to, between steps I'm opening the RGB channel just to avoid any possible mistakes. I'm going to the left image, copying green, here, copy green, going back to stereo, paste green, and repeat the final step for blue. And that's it. As you can see, this is the final result. You can see that there's a discoloration. The further any object is placed from the observer, the more the offset is. You can see the red offset here, and on our main subject there is almost no offset. You can zoom here, only on the actual limits borders of the image. So this is it. You can actually see it if you have Red-cyan glasses. If you don't have Red-cyan glasses, which unfortunately most people doesn't have, there's another trick you can do. You can create an animated GIF on Photoshop with just 2 frames looping, and that will give you more or less the same result. So we don't need the stereo image now. We just need left and right, and you can go to the timeline here, create frame animation, You have the first frame, just add the second frame, and on the second frame you just click the layer. It doesn't matter which is first or second. Just the only thing that matters is that on each frame you have a different layer. One for the red eye, one for the other for the left. If you click play, you can see this tremble that shows the depth. It's quite funny. The only problem with this is that GIF doesn't scale very well for large dimensions. It doesn't have a lot of color. So if you click save for web here and GIF, you can see that for 128 colors, it's 1.7 megabytes, not very small. Reduced to 50%, and this is the result. Doesn't look very good now, but if you export it, it's as good as it gets. You can play with the settings, but this is not perfect, but it's good enough to show the depth. That's it. I hope you like the video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.